well. Myself and Sweetie Abochi have been joined by Vicky Bright, former she is a legal practitioner and also an entrepreneur. I understand that she was a former legal advisor to President John Ejikunkufo. That should be tight there. I hope you're well.
I'm very well, thank you. I hope you're also well.
I'm good.
How was your weekend?
It was nice. I think I had one wedding somewhere, and I had to spend Sunday with the family. So nice. It was incredibly good. Yes. How was the trip?
It was good, thank you.
Okay. We also have Dr. James Kwabena Bomfeh Jr. He's CEO of Census and lecturer at UPSA. Uncle James, not in then.
I'm on for seeing
Okay, Sweetie.
Yes.
Right.
So let's, like we do it, it's Monday, and we'd like to get into your thoughts in terms of what has caught your attention that you want to reflect on. And they say ladies first. So, Vicky, let's hear your thoughts for us.
I guess a couple of things. This COVID-19, the figures are rising quite rapidly. And, it's worrying. We started off with 3, I think, and we're now at, is it 40 or something?
Yeah.
So I think we need the Ministry of Health to address us on it and let us know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that people, and it just needs to be put to the fore of the nation's thoughts again, so that people are cautious. I've noticed that some people have masks in the studio, which is very good, and I think we just need to be aware of it and take measures accordingly. And also there's a story about a gold buyer being brutally murdered. People were impersonating gold sellers, and they lured him in. And I understand that it's in the Electoral East District. And I understand this is not the first time it's happened over there in particular. So people need to be careful. We now have a new gold regime, in the form of the gold board. So if people are pretending to have gold on the side to sell, you need to be just very wary. It's very sad. The gentleman was only 30 years old, the prime of his life. Yes, very tragic. So, buyers beware, I guess.
Thank you. On the COVID issue, I mean, it's not just the resurgence of COVID-19 that we should be worrying about. There's so much something flu-like, flying around.
And it's very
people
serious.
are, very serious.
For like 3 weeks.
Yes. And some people are very irresponsible and they tell you, I don't have COVID. You hear them snorting and doing all that and they don't want to wear a mask. Please, you do not know whether the person has a compromised immune system or whatever. Protect yourself, protect those around you so that, COVID or not, if you have something happening with your sinuses, wear a mask. Just wear a mask to be safe.
Or stay at home. Don't come out and spread your germs.
It's the responsibility that, creates that hazardous environment for those who might be compromised to,
employers then when you see your worker maybe having, issues or some symptoms of it, you ask the person to stay home and work from home. Maybe that could be, let's return where people are working from home.
Anyway, James Kwabena Bomfeh, PhD. Let's hear your thoughts for us now. I want to get it right. I don't want to call you doctor anymore.
It's okay. So yesterday I listened to, I think, Radio Ghana, where there was a news item on Nkwanta. Last week, we discussed an incident about some shooting that was taking place around there, and it appears not to have gone away. It's still there, and I don't know what national security and the president's outfit in terms of the intelligence coordination, what they have picked. But I also received messages from some people I know in that area, kind of requesting for assistance because of the situation they find themselves in. I want to believe that no part of our country should be left to be in such a situation that the people there cannot live the lives that they want to live ordinarily as we are having here. So it's a matter of concern that I want the authorities to pick up. I mean, if they have not already attended to it, it's one of the things that we should be concerned about.
Yeah.
And then I think about the influenza thing that you talked about, not just COVID. But the important thing for me is whether or not as a people we learn lessons and we want to walk the never again step. We tend to, I mean, somebody is sneezing, they don't care.
No.
No, they don't.
You know,
No, for the life of me.
yeah, so
I don't understand that.
these are things that COVID-19 came, and I remember saying that it had come to remind us of the need to cleanliness, the need to hygiene, the need to ensure that we abide by basic hygienic practices. So it hasn't gone. And I think WHO has declared COVID as something that we are going to live with over. It's here to stay. Yeah. So,
like the flu.
Yes. So let's be guided as a people, and nobody will teach us how well to live than what we do to ourselves.
Okay, thank you so much.
I wanted to start with a story from the Daily Guide, page 13. I think this will be interesting to all of us. That's what I want us to start with. Two St. Louis SJ students busted in car boots. The story is written by David Afum from Kumasi. It says, two final year students of St. Louis Senior High School in Kumasi were apprehended on Monday, June 30, after they attempted to break bounds by hiding in the boot of a Bolt car during school hours. The incident occurred around 9 a.m. during the school's morning assembly. According to a staff member who spoke to Daily Guide on conditions of anonymity, the driver of the boat vehicle, whose registration number was not immediately available, was initially allowed entry into the school after claiming he was there to pick up a teacher. But in the end, he came back empty, and the security there said no. They wanted to then check the boot, where they discovered two ladies hidden in the boot of a car. Vicky, let me start with you. I mean, these are young girls, final year students of the school, who obviously knew what they wanted to do by hiding in the boot of a car. How must we approach this issue such that it becomes a deterrent for other young girls who probably are doing so in some schools that we are not aware of?
Yes, I mean, it's a very serious thing because their parents think that they're at home, they are at school, in school studying and safe, you know, within the confines of the school. So they have to be dealt with in a way that does not encourage other kids to do the same. I mean, kids running away from school has been happening from, you know, I guess even before my days and during my days, and will probably continue to happen. But this is serious. I mean, it's also in collusion with a Bolt driver.
Yes.
And it's a very bad branding for Bolt. I mean, they need to tackle it themselves, you know, because it's not good for Bolt to be associated with this kind of thing. The school definitely has rules against this kind of behavior. And I think they have to enforce it to the strictest level, you know, to deter these children from. I mean, you're in your final year. You're supposed to be focusing on getting your qualifications and going on to bigger and better things, not running away. Running away to do what? I mean, to do what? This, you know, it goes back to really, we need to reset some of our mindset in this country and also the youth, you know. Just wait, follow processes, respect, values. All these things seem to be eluding us as a nation. And it starts right from there, right from a young age. And then they grow up with these habits. And then they end up being in, some of them end up being in positions they have no business being in. And then, you know, telling us how to live our lives. So, I mean, discipline, respect, values. These are, they may sound old-fashioned, but they worked then and they still work now. So I think that we need to, and their parents also have to come into play to discipline their children. They also have to come, so the school has a part to play, Bolt has a part to play with his driver, the parents have a part to play, and the children themselves have a part to play. So that's what I have to say concerning that. It's really bad form. They must stop it.
James said, Bonfair, your PhD, I mean, they were leaving around 9 a.m. on a school day.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Missing classes.
Yes. I mean, what must be done?
It's
Well, I mean, these are definitely wards or pupils who are students who are playing truant. And as Vicky said, the institution has responsibility. I mean, the principle of in loco parentis. Once they are in school, the teachers and administrators of the institution serve as parents to, I mean, these students once they are within the procession of the semester or the term. And it is important that the rules are applied. How did the Uber driver get in?
They said he told the security he was coming for a teacher who had requested a ride.
Good. So I'm just raising rhetorical questions that how did the Uber driver get in?
It shouldn't be easy at all.
Indeed, if there was a teacher who requested that Uber service, the name of that teacher would have been registered on the Uber app. And the security at the school should have asked, and at least they know who the teachers are that live on campus or are teaching there, basic, you know, so that would have triggered a flag. Well, it didn't work that way. So when the Uber got onto the campus, I don't know which, St. Louis?
Yes, St. Louis.
It's not too big a school that a vehicle can move round, comb round, and nobody can take notice of.
So they said a house mistress who had noticed the movement of the car stood somewhere.
Yes.
And saw that two young girls jumped into the boot of the car.
Good. So we applaud that house mistress yes. who took notice and did that. At the end of the day, I think that St. Louis is quite a disciplinary school and disciplined school that I believe, if you want to talk about the top, A schools among the female schools, it is one of them. They have got a disciplinary code. I don't know what sanctions would apply, but I think they must apply without any fear or favor. And then parents must be willing to let the law work. This is not the time for parents to now go and say they are going to use their old gayism or old boyism to go and interfere with the administration of justice or discipline in this matter. And the school must set an example. I remember when we were at Prempeh College, if there's such an incident, the persons involved will be brought to the assembly hall after morning devotion. And an announcement will be made. Punitive sanctions will be applied. If they are to be suspended, let it be so. If they deserve some work or some punishment to be done, I don't know how it is done now, some weeding or something of the sort, right. So be it. But let nobody stand in the way of administering discipline in this matter. And then we come back to the issue that we've been raising here over and over, our value system. I don't think that truancy is a new thing in this case. However, I mean, what are the values that we are preaching such that those engaged in such activities would know that you are there within this period of your life to get better, to study and get better. So for all intents and purposes, your focus should be, to study and become a better person than running away to nowhere or to go and do things that will rather destroy your future. Yeah. I mean, the end is that the better prepared you are, the more enjoyable life you will have. And that is what we need to teach these young ones.
Okay. And also the health, the potential health. I mean, you're hiding in a car boot.
Yes.
And look how small these bolt cars are. Two of you in there with the boots closed. What if something happens?
Or you suffocate.
I mean, what if you jump,
risk.
Something happens? So there's a serious health risk. And then we'll be singing a different song, right?
I agree with you, James. When I saw the video, I didn't even read the news article, but the video was circulating. It went viral on social media. When I saw it, I immediately thought, what a breakdown in our moral values as Ghanaians or as Africans. I mean, before the 1950s, maybe I can link this to the sexual revolution where people were more circumspect with some of these things. These days, it's like freedom everywhere. Young girls are openly engaging in hookup businesses, and that's why they were going. The story said they were going out to do hookup business. You know,
it
didn't report that. I guess they're trying to be circumspect as well in their reportage. But the video, in the video, the commentary was that they were sneaking out to go and hook up. You know, what a breakdown in our moral values. Our grandfathers and, you know, ancestors will be turning in their graves hearing these stories. But then again, Doc, like you said...
You mentioned that parents, I mean, there's a school code. Was it you or Vicky?
I think we both.
No, I said, I talked about
over the weekend.
In local
I saw
parenting.
something beautiful on Facebook. You know, T. Kwabena Pepra, a member of the Wanderlust team, those guys who, you know, did the London Accra thing. His daughter had requested to dye the hair. So she was asking for permission from the dad. And the father, in trying to help her make the decision, said, okay, I won't stop you, but I want to ask questions. So one of them was, have you read your student handbook? What does your handbook say about dyeing
what you
of
want
the hair?
to do?
If your student handbook is okay with it, of course, I have nothing to say. But if your handbook prohibits it, then you cannot do it, you know? So that's a parent whose child wants to do something but said, no, you are in a school, so go back to your handbook. If it permits you, fine. If it doesn't, you cannot do it. You know, so like you said, parents also have a role to play here. Definitely. And they need to get their children to say, abide by the rules of the game, and which is contained in your student handbook. And in the university, normally, we don't even play by them. But when you have an issue, then the dean of students will refer you that, do you know this is contained in the handbook? When you are caught by it, of course, you cannot run away from it when it's contained in the student handbook. So parents should guide our children well, you know.
So let me bring in the second story now. Galamsey humiliates the grandstander. It's in the Ghanaian Publisher, page 3. I'm particularly interested in this story because it seems like the Minerals Development Fund, they're doing a U-turn. Last week, we sat down here and reported that Hannah Bissue was on Adom FM saying that they seized 40 excavators. And when they returned the next morning, because they didn't have the logistics to transfer these 40 excavators, they only met 7. Which meant that 33 of these excavators had gone missing. And we played the video on this channel, and everybody saw it. And then a week later or so, we see a statement coming from the fund, which she heads, saying that they want to correct, and I want to read verbatim what they're saying here. The narrative created by recent publications, which misquoted our administrator, Dr. Hannah Bissue, is false. Quote, the police never had custody of 40 excavators. The 7 excavators that remained at the site were the only machines officially seized by law enforcers, and no excavators have gone missing from the police. You see, well, it's not about me. Let me take your thoughts on this. I'll come back and add what I want to say. But I also want to link this story to something I was reading in the Daily Graphic. Unfortunately, we don't have the Daily Graphic paper here, but I have excerpts here. And it's the inconvenient truth. Echoes from contaminated lands and poisoned rivers. Illegal mining may fade from headlines, but the unborn will inherit its scars long after the last pit is filled. And this is coming from Professor Douglas Boateng. James, tell me how you feel about this U-turn and how we are seeking to sort of do some sort of damage control. Excavators were seized. So who did they leave the 40 excavators to? And upon return the next day, after those 33 excavators were missing, who did they query about the whereabouts of these excavators? Now you're giving us the statement saying we've misquoted you. Your take on the matter?
Well, I would say that we have discussed on this platform a couple of times issues involving illegal mining. And I maintain that it won't take sensationalism or rash or grandstanding, as the paper alludes, to rid ourselves of an ingrained problem. A problem that it appears the verdict of the people out there is not against it. And that is the problem.
That's how it appears.
The verdict of the people against illegal mining is not so strong that it will itself serve as a disgust or abhorrence for it. So it's like it doesn't really matter how you make money. Once you have money, we will applaud you. And if that is one of the means by which people can easily make money, then so be it. Otherwise, the people engaged in illegal mining, those who are patronizing it, those who are aiding it, those who are abetting it, those who are engaged in it, where are they coming from? You can blame foreigners all you want. Can they do it without us? So that's the first point. The second point is this, that, you know, I've heard that they have, on top of this, a statement has come from the ministry that is responsible for protecting lands and natural resources, purporting to be unaware of the activity of my dear friend Hannah. But really, was she doing something within her mandate? When I saw her on TV, and I was asking myself, was she acting as a citizen vigilante? Or it is within the mandate of her institution? Because we must be very careful that we don't do things in a manner that will, you know, if you like, contradict or kind of crisscross institutions with mandate when they are unaware of what you are doing. You know, so as for the U-turns, the questions are many. Did they really seize 40 excavators?
That's what she said.
No, but I said, did it really happen? The fact that she said...
Why would she say that if it's not in fact?
I don't know. but what has happened, the incidents and what you call U-turn, beg of the question. If today we are being told that there were no 40 excavators...
No, that's not the correction they see. They're saying that the 40 excavators were seized, but they did not leave. So they're trying to exculpate the police from the story, from the missing excavators. They're saying that they didn't hand them over to the police.
So where are they?
Exactly. They are missing, but they say we shouldn't blame the police for that.
No, so
because they didn't...
It comes back to the point I'm making that something doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Something doesn't add up. That the first narrative that we have seized 40 excavators is questionable. If you seized them, where were they? How did you seize them? And was it within your mandate? And if it was within your mandate, what did you do with them? Why are we now being told that some 7, whatever numbers, the numbers and the contradictions? For me, look, we need to understand that we have a problem on our hands. The problem, I believe, starts with the continued existence in our law books on the ownership of minerals. That it is 100% the people's, and it is vested in the president, and it is held in trust for and on behalf of the people, without the original owners of the land having any share in it and a say as to how it is exploited. It is a problem. And when it comes to its exploitation, there are laws about it. You cannot mine within a certain distance, close to water bodies, and in a forest reserve, and so on and so forth. How do we enforce these? And then there are principles on reclamation. When you have even gone in to mine, you have to reclaim the land thereafter, and then there are compensations to be paid and so on and so forth. We just don't do well with our enforcement. That is another matter. Then the third issue has to do with this thing I call cost-benefit analysis. If you look at reports as far back as 1913, 1925, a survey was done. The entire land of Ghana, north to south, west to east, is sitting on gold.
Gold Coast.
If you are not careful, you will mine even here, your studios, and you will find gold. So it comes with the responsibility to declare some places as no-go areas. It's not every mine that will be of benefit to you. So you do the cost-benefit analysis to ensure that it will be of a higher yield to you. I don't think we do that. And that is why we seem to be, having challenges with these things. So my take on this is that let us go by the law. Let us limit ourselves to our remit and our purview and work within that and work well. Okay. And let there be collaborative exercise. But above all, let us be citizens. Okay. If we are citizens in this country, there are many of the problems that confront us that will not exist at all.
Thank you for that. Vicky, let's hear you out on this.
Yes. But Vicky, as you come in, I mean, in that audio video we played, she was categorical in saying that she confronted the police commander, if you remember. And that's why the next time she went there, she went with all the equipment.
I remember, Kojo.
Yes. So how come the same office then turn around to say, okay, we didn't leave it with the police, when the same administrator said she had to confront the commander there for not finding the 33 out of the 40.
Is she being threatened? What is she afraid of? Where is this coming from? But let's hear you out.
Yes, no, I mean, I agree with my brother here. You know, sometimes I wonder if people think that Ghanaians are not savvy, or I want to use a polite word, so let's just say savvy, you know. Because
maybe to help you have a short memory.
You know, I mean, I think Ghanaians are highly intelligent, you know. And some of these things insult our intelligence, you know, because Hannah Bissue is an intelligent woman. She knows what she's about. She's not some flaky person who's just coming on air and speaking. No. I mean, she's a responsible person holding a very senior position in government. So there's no way she'll come on national TV and tell us about confronting police commanders and leading the charge and all that. And then, you know, so if really she made a mistake, why isn't she the one telling us that, oh, look, I got it wrong? Why is it someone else? You know, so we need to tackle Galamsey because, you see, or this whole illegal mining thing, because if you start shielding certain things, then we start getting worried again. Because at the moment, we can see government's will, the president's will is there to fight this menace of illegal mining. We are seeing some tangible results. They are taking steps, small but positive steps, and we are all behind this fight because it's a fight for our very existence. You know, everything we know is being destroyed. I mean, everything that's essential to our health, our well-being, and as you alluded to the article in the Daily Graphic, the well-being of our unborn children, the future of the nation is being threatened by this illegal mining menace. So when we hear good, positive things being done, and we all are behind it and we applaud it, and then we hear someone else coming in and saying, oh, no, 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 it's not like that, then we start getting worried. How do 33 excavators go missing in 24 hours? In 24 hours.
And Vicky, it's not the first time we are seeing this, you know.
The culture of impunity and the celebration of wealth, irrespective of where that wealth came from. That is a big problem. And I keep talking about it, and my brother Kobna keeps talking about it as well, because it's causing us to behave in ways that are just not helpful to this country. And it's causing us to behave in ways that are eroding our values as a nation. You know, when I was young, if you were wealthy, people wanted to know how you got, and as we were saying last week, or a couple of weeks back, you know, people were not interested. If that's how, they didn't want to be associated with you at all. I mean, you were like, oh, no, no, stay away from me. You know, but now it's like, oh, how many V8s does he have? Where does he live? Blah, 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 blah. We are losing our soul as a nation. And we have to stop it. You know, we really have to stop it because I feel we are losing our soul. So please, don't make excuses for people who are stealing confiscated excavators to go back and do exactly what they've been stopped from doing. And it's not, you may think about your pockets, but at the end of the day, it's all of us. All of us are affected by your one selfish act. All of us are affected negatively. Those children who are being born with defects, it's on your head. You know, people who are dying from mercury poison, it's on your head. All these things are forests that are falling apart, water bodies that are being polluted. The fact that Ghana Water is worried about the possibility, the real possibility of having to import water simply because the water pollution levels are becoming such that they can no longer, we are soon approaching a point where they can no longer afford to purify this water or safely do so for our consumption. It's on your heads. So as you go and do your perpetrate your selfish acts and get children who should be in school in that water, you know, working with you,
right.
Think about that. It's all on your heads.
Okay, thank you so much.
I think the best proposal to deal with this is what I heard from Doc the other day, that we should rather amend the ownership of these minerals on the land and bring in the communities.
Yes.
That when it comes to the exploration, the communities also have a percentage, so that once they know when they explore, they have a percentage. They won't allow an individual to come and do it anyhow, because they know that when they allow a company to do it, a percentage will come to IFA.
Yes.
I saw it. I saw it as profound, and a way we can deal with this. So
and it happens elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you find on your land is yours. You know, and we don't even have a problem with government sharing it or whatever it is. But when people, human beings always act in their self-interest.
Exactly.
That's the starting point.
Exactly.
So if you have family land and there are minerals on that family land, of course, their first instinct will be to preserve it for the members of the family. You know, but if they feel that as soon as government finds out that this is there, it leaves, they lose their land. I mean, they talk about compensation and all that, but how realistic is that? And really, what is the history of that compensation, and how much is that compensation?
Yeah.
How much can you compensate,
as
opposed to someone actually exploiting a gold mining site, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let me just add this, especially so when the history behind this 100% ownership of the state, once a mineral is found, is a colonial relic. It came at the failing of the Crown Land Bill of 1896.
Okay.
Yes.
When they wanted to take over our lands, like they did in Eastern and Southern Africa, and our people resisted, and some of the people who actually resisted were whites who had ownership of some of the concessions.
Okay.
So in that failing, and that was the rise of the Aborigines Right Protection Society, which brought to the fore John Mensah Saba and others. Then they said, okay, if you will not let us own the lands, then once you find any mineral in the land, before you can exploit it, you need government permit. And then 1962, we turned it to say that any mineral found anywhere belongs to the state, and that the state can compulsorily, acquire that piece of land, that water system, and then use it the way it wants. We need to change that law. It's colonial.
All right. You have a story there. Should I get...
Well, once we have a lawyer here, now you remember Agrada?
Who doesn't remember Agrada? Yeah.
This story says conviction of Agrada sets legal
right after that.
For crackdown on spiritual scams. And it says the 15-year prison sentence with hard labor handed to Patricia Siedua Asiama, popularly known as Nana Agrada, marks a significant step in Ghana's legal stance against fraudulent spiritual practices. Convicted by the Accra Circuit Court on multiple counts of charlatanic advertisement and defrauding by false pretense, the former traditional priestess turned evangelist has become a symbol in the fight against spiritual exploitation. Now, we see a lot of TV channels doing what, you could probably classify as charlatanic. Must the NCA, based on this, go after all of these stations then? Do they have a course now to say we can charge them?
This morning, I was surprised. I have an office just by the Kotobabi police station. A billboard has been erected there. For who? Kwaku Bonsam.
Hey.
And the list of services that he offers. Amazing.
100,000.
Right in front of a police station. Right in front of a police station. With centers in Accra here, in Afancho, and you see, I don't know, but I don't think it is right. I don't think it is right to advertise those things, some of which, if we want to go into, but you cannot advertise some things in this country. You cannot advertise that you double money.
Oh, that's what is on the billboard?
It's part of it.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Okay.
The kinds of things, poverty. For me,
Doing their own poverty.
the issue...
Because that was one of the cases, one of the charges upon which the woman was...
Yes, yes.
Okay, he says the case against Nana Agradaa stemmed from a televised broadcast in 2022, during which she claimed to possess spiritual powers to double money. This claim, widely seen as fraudulent, attracted scores of desperate Ghanaians who parted with large sums of money in hopes of instant wealth.
Oh, I see. They gave her the money.
Oh, they gave her the money, yes.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people.
So, Kojo, for me, the important thing is that sometimes we sit down and allow things to degenerate, to fester before we complain. Our state regulatory authorities must be up and doing. NCC must be up and doing. But above all, let us learn to be citizens. I remember last 2 weeks, at census, we brought up, if you read Article 41 of the 1992 Constitution, it spells out the duties and responsibilities of a citizen. And if each of us will live by that code, we translated them into 11 commandments. If we live by them, a lot of these things, will not find expression amongst us, or even if they will, human as we are, they will be minimal.
But there's a demand for it. Every time we discuss this, for me, it's about, because there's demand, there's supply.
We want.
These people, these charlatans, if I can call them so, are giving the people what they want.
They are providing a service because the people want it.
As at yesterday, Sunday, Agrada's church, I saw a screenshot of over 2,000 plus people who are tuning in to watch the husband, Isiama. Agrada was a fetish priestess who turned into professor, doctor, reverend, whatever. In matter of days, nobody questioned how she got all those titles that she had adorned on herself. And she'd been jailed for fraud and the rest, and people still go to the church.
Now,
so it's a mindset thing that we need to reorient. So the question is how? Because instead of going to work with your hands and getting money, you'd rather give whatever savings you have to a man or woman so they can miraculously turn it around. I really don't understand how we can change that.
Easy life.
Easy life.
One easy life.
I mean,
there is demand for it.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Process. Values, values, values. You cannot, it's actually very disturbing that people believe that another human being can look at your 100 cedis and make it 200 cedis just like that.
Yeah.
That's very troubling to me, that anyone would actually believe that, because I guess, as you say, there's demand, because I guess that's easier than going to work hard and being paid 200 cedis at the end of the week or whatever. So we need to have a mindset shift, as I've been saying. She's been convicted. There are other people like her, so that's just the beginning. And Kwabena is saying there's a huge billboard in front of a
police station.
Also advertising, doubling money and all the rest of it. So
spiritual powers.
All these things have to stop. They have to stop. They're not helping us. And people will get up and not do any work and probably camp in that church for like 1 week. I'm a Christian. I'm a very strong Christian. But these are not Christian behaviors. They are not. They are not. And I'm not an authority, but the Bible is the authority for Christians, just as the Quran is for Muslims. So if you read the Bible, you read the Quran, I mean, you will see that these are not behaviors that align with the values in these things. So just please, I mean, if you want money, go and work. That's how you get sustainable money. Don't put your trust in a human being believing that they can magically bring forth cash for you. It's just, you're living in cloud cuckoo land. It doesn't work.
Cuckoo land, nah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, let me tell you what people are telling all of us here. Yes. Quote, critics, however, often cite religious beliefs, distrust in the judiciary, or confidence in a greater spiritual authority. A quote here, this is an attack on a woman of God. People gave willingly out of faith, not under duress. The court misunderstood spiritual transactions, as supporter argued. You don't understand.
Wherein lies our problem. This is exactly the problem we have.
Kojo, let's move on. There's a story on ECOWAS that, Doc, I think it's on the news center. Okay, let's get into it.
Obasanjo to ECOWAS, reform or become irrelevant. I am particularly interested in this because this is the second former head of state of an African country making this call. The first was done by our own former President John Ajay Kufuor on February 4, 2025 at a virtual roundtable conference where, he emphasized the need that we need to break the artificial boundaries that were created by our colonial masters along the lines of Anglophone, Francophone, and whatever phone. Taking away our cultural commonalities and connections with our friends and brothers across. And to do that, he was talking about the people-to-people integration. Why do we still have a situation where you would need a visa to travel within the African zone? Why do we have so much restrictions in terms of how to trade? But again, that is not to say that we should open ourselves up for criminal activities by neighboring or other African countries just because we want to interlink or intertrade or interrelate. It's something that we need to look at the people-to-people level. And for me, I believe that if we will heed these calls from these two eminent former heads of states, it would be good for us. We need to understand that unity is what can bring Africans the strength that we need. We have all that it takes or requires to be a force to be recognized in the world. If you look at the population of the world today, China, India, Africa is seen on the whole as third. So virtually they are considering Africa as a country. Yeah. And while we have allowed this call, sounded in 1963, May 25, that we should come together, a united country, Africa, where we can have federal system of governance, elude us, I don't know, but that is where the solution is. And we need to understand that we are one people. But we can be one people if we allow the laws to work within the framework of promoting trade, cultural tolerance, and also the needed unity to abide by rules and regulations.
Thank you. Vicky, you want to reflect on this before we do your story?
Yes, no, I agree. When you look at the EU, for example, the EU is founded on 4 freedoms: freedom of capital, free movement of goods, services, capital, and people. And we need to do this ourselves within the ECOWAS region, first of all, and then within the wider African, continent or region. We are not doing it effectively. If you try moving from here to, I don't know, maybe going to another African country, the cost alone, you can move from England, say from London to Paris to blah, 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 25 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds at the most, depending on whether you're going first class or regular class or whatever. You know, so it's cheap. We have to make it easier for movements to flow amongst ourselves, you know, and until we do that, you know, our airspace, the passport situation. Now some African countries say if you have any African passport, you don't need a visa anymore. Yeah. You know, Rwanda is one of those. And South Africa too, we all need to move to that point. We need to have interconnectivity, railways. I should be able to sit on a train to Burkina Faso, you know.
That would be a day.
Yes, and it helps us to, just like you can sit on a train to go to France, Brussels, etc. You know, it helps us to also be less suspicious of each other, to be more welcoming of each other. If you're standing on a platform with someone from Togo, someone from Burkina, someone from Nigeria, someone from, you know, eventually you get used to it. We all become part of each other's lives. And until we get to that point, it's not going to happen.
Do you think we are leveraging, I need to ask, do you think we are leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area
agreements? No, we're not.
Do you think
I think more needs to be done about the AFCFTA. It's, you know, beautiful on paper, but the implementation, that has always been our problem. As a nation, as a continent, the implementation of it needs to be deeper, and people need to be more educated about what it means for their personal businesses.
But does that, do you think that holds the key to our quest for united Africa where we can move freely within? Do you think the AfTA holds the key? Although we are not leveraging and making the best out of it, is that a solution that we should look at turning it around to give us the results we're looking for? Could we start from AfTA?
Yeah, I think it's a great starting point. Yes, because if you are going to, you know, shave off import duties and levies and all the rest of it and make goods. You know, I was talking about the 4 freedoms, the 4 movements, you know, and it's a key pillar of that. So yes, if we crack that, then that will open up the continent for the rest, for everybody. You know, and it will change a lot. It will change our fortunes. So this is, the AfTA is something that has the potential to change the fortunes of all 54 states in Africa.
Thank you for that.
I think the Sahel guys may probably be showing us the way. Because just this weekend...
Yes, I was going to talk about...
So the Alliance of Sahel States have officially launched the Alliance of Agricultural Seed Producers of the Sahel, a regional initiative aimed at achieving seed sovereignty and bolstering food security across the Sahel. These guys have decided that the ills of ECOWAS, they would want to do away with Sahel. So they are moving in ways that, you know, are opposite to how the ECOWAS. So I don't know whether we can look at this.
But former President Obasanjo actually added that ECOWAS leadership must find a way of reconciling with the Sahel brothers. And former President Kufuor actually indicated that. But you see, what they are doing in Sahel is not new.
Okay.
You know, Ghana, we had Ghana, Guinea, Mali. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
When it was this Francophone, Anglophone thing was happening, Ghana's founding president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, led the way and said, let's start something. So they are learning something that was done in the past, and they may be doing well with it. My only problem with them is that they are coup makers. And for me, it is a high time they return the country to civilian rule, because military dictatorship does not augur well with, you know, the respect for the rights of people. But that said, I think that it's something that we need to have our leaders in the especially West African zone pay attention to. Why did they leave? They left because there were some breaches. Understandable that, yes, they should have discussed them and so on and so forth, but for how long can we continue to discuss the same problems in the same manner when we are making no progress? It becomes frustrating, you know. So we need to get our leaders understand that there's a new crop of young people coming up. We want to solve problems. We want to see solutions. We want to see progress. We cannot continue to live with the same problems and the same approaches.
And expect
different results. It's frustrating.
We have to take charge of our own destinies. I mean, look at the AU. We can't even finance our own institutions.
Yes.
And he who pays the piper calls the tune. So we can't. I mean, are we seriously saying that each member state cannot contribute their portion, you know, to finance?
A study was done that
you know?
Africans in the diaspora, the capital we can generate alone, it's not easy. But the problem is with trust. Yes, the trust. We don't trust ourselves.
You know,
people who don't have trust to bring their money.
I mean, I really think that we really have to now be masters of our own destiny. Nobody is going to develop this continent
for us.
We have to develop it ourselves. And as long as we continue to allow other people to finance our key institutions, we are just kidding ourselves.
Including security solutions.
I want to conclude on the Ghanaian publisher. 3 headlines. You can reflect on whichever one piques your interest. So, Ablekuma North rerun, NPP mad at EC over U-turn. And then there's a story about the full trial of Edu Boahin, slated for July the 18th. And Sam George gives 62 radio stations ultimatum over regulatory breaches. And the last story I'll add is Ghana gold reserves surge ahead of July MPC meeting. These are 4 stories that I'll conclude on the Ghanaian publisher. Which one would you like to reflect on, James?
Well, the Ablekuma constituency thing, I think that
Ablekuma North.
Ablekuma North. I believe that the EC they have taken a step that it's not consistent with their position since December 7.
Yeah.
As recent as 2 weeks or so ago, they made it clear to everybody that there was not going to be a rerun. And as at 19th December 2024, at the press conference, a copy of which I have here, the EC told the entire world that all they needed was protection.
Yeah.
Why the state, and here I'm talking about the Republic of Ghana under former President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the Republic of Ghana under President John Dramani Mahama, why we have failed to provide the EC with the needed security to announce and declare is a wonder. But what I'm even more surprised about, Kojo, is this. The EC should be able to announce going forward. Because if we are going to work with reform suggestions dating back to 2015 and thereafter, we know that when results are counted, declared at the polling center, that is the base upon which every declaration is made. Immediately, it is transmitted to the collation center at the constituency where parliamentary results are declared. And then immediately it should be sent to the National Collation Center where presidential election results are declared. Once this is done, I don't think that this hula baloo I will endorse, I will not accept, I will not, that we become subject to the manipulations of political parties. We need to grow out of that. We need to grow out of that. And for me, I believe that when people deliberately destroy state property, such as election results sheets, and from that period to date, cameras have captured individuals, and no single person has been arrested in relation to these incidents, including the burning of ballot boxes at a particular place. Why? It's so disturbing, and one too many. We keep talking these things. We have discussed them. The same refrain. Why? So I will advise the EC. I will advise the EC to stick to their script. There is no need for a rerun.
Yeah, but that's over now. They say
it is not over.
Really,
it's over. I hear there's an issue. There's a court. Yes. But the court hasn't decided on the matter. So, but what I'm saying is that the EC will look so bad And the commission members must understand it. And that's why I must kill this story, where some persons have decided to isolate the 3 heads of the commission, i.e. the chairperson and her 2 deputies. It is a 7-member commission. Article 43 is clear on that. You cannot isolate anyone and deal with them and leave the others. It's a commission. It's not one person. And that is why in the Mahama versus Akufo-Addo and the EC 2020, the 2020 election petition, the Supreme Court was unequivocal about it, that it is the commission that is at the instant attack and not the chairperson of the commission. I mean, as the reliefs were drafted to suggest. So let us look at it that way. And as far as I'm concerned, these are things that we can all work hard to improve ourselves. Okay. No matter what the commission does, if the people are unwilling to comply and support them, they cannot do anything on their own. But the EC must walk a very tight rope. They must be careful not to fall into the traps of those who already are looking for them. That's my question.
Let me piggyback from what you just said about they cannot do anything on their own. And Vicky, do they have the legal backing to rerun these 19 polling station elections? Because they went to court under oath and said that we have 3 outstanding polling stations that we need security for. And then they go to Parliament and say the exact same thing. Now we are hearing something entirely different. Should they go back to the court and tell the courts that due to whatever circumstances we're unable to complete those 3, we think that 19 polling stations, a rerun of these 19 polling stations is the way to go? And if not, do they have that legal backing to declare a rerun in these elections, in these polling stations, after they have, particularly after they've gone to court to say under oath that they just need 3 polling station results to be collated? Vicky?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, they are the sole organization here that can declare election results. So if they say that even though the parties had agreed on the results, they had not been able to verify them, and therefore they felt they had to run them again, then I don't think there's much anyone can do about that. At the end of the day,
Vicky,
it's a matter...
I don't cut you, but the EC itself said when the polling agents were agreeing, they were part of the process.
But they are also saying they were not able to verify it. So I think the answers lie with the EC themselves. They've been inconsistent. I mean, I think we can't run away from the fact that they've been inconsistent. First of all, you said 3, now we are saying 19. So what happened in between? So yes, I mean, there was a court order. And so really, if they wanted to vary that, they should have really done something by consensus. And if the consensus is not working, then they should have gone back to court to say, look.
So they should have gone back to court.
This is what, yes, I think they should have gone back. Okay. But at the end of the day, they have that mandate. You can't run away from that. That is their mandate. So if they go back to court and say, well, we were not able to verify, what will the court do? They'll say, well, okay then. I mean, because they are the sole authority in this country for declaring, running elections and declaring election results. Until it's come out of the mouth of the EC. You can't be an MP, you cannot be president. So if they go and say, look, yes, we made a mistake or whatever, or for whatever reason, yes, we thought we could do it. You asked us to go away and continue collation. We went away and continued collation. We couldn't, and we realized that, yes, the 2 parties have agreed on these 19 polling stations, but we could not verify it. And under law, they are supposed to verify the results. So if they can't fulfill their constitutional or statutory mandate, then, and this is the way they feel they can fulfill it, then nobody will stop them. So
to what end are the NPP members who have decided to take this to court, what does it do to the process? Because they've set a date, I think 5 days from today or so. Yeah, they want to rerun the election. July, yeah. What does the court come in?
Well, that's up to the MPP. I mean, we will see what we'll see what the judge says. I cannot,
right.
jump ahead. But I'll be surprised because the EC has that mandate. So it is what
I mean, just to make the point that, Vicky, the EC is not under the direction of anybody in the execution of their duty. However, they are under the dictates of the Constitution.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they cannot do as they please.
No.
You cannot. That's why I'm cautioning them that they must be very careful not to fall into traps set for them.
Okay.
They must be very careful because you cannot just go and say that, okay, we said A, B, C, D. However, we are coming back to say Y, Z, X,
but
without justification.
What traps have been set for them?
Say again?
What traps do you think have been set for them? You said they should be careful not to fall in traps.
People are calling for their heads. I said, Nketia, chairman of NDC, has said that they are incompetent. They should be removed. He has been backed by other people. My friend Kofi Bentel sat in this studio Saturday and backed that call. So if you show or demonstrate that you cannot even take a decision and be consistent with your decision, you are falling into the trap of those who are looking for you. That's a question. Well, I think that human institutions make mistakes, but as to which mistakes would constitute grounds for removal is yet another one. I'm only cautioning them that they should tread cautiously.
Yeah, and the inconsistencies must stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, people going without MPs for whole administration terms and all that. They have to stop all that.
So, Vicky James, I need to interrupt.
On Sal, let's correct this impression.
We'll let you do that.
Okay.
But let's just
a few months ago, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly conducted a decongestion exercise.
Okay.
And we want to see how sustainable that action has been. So this morning, Joy Prime's Esiedua is on grounds. She's at Circle. We want to take you there live and see exactly what she's seeing, whether or not that decongestion exercise has held ground. Esiedua, report to us what you find.
That they were being asked to move, and so they feel that they were being treated unfairly. But like you can see, the traders are back. Now, opposite us, if you can get the opposite view, opposite the OA, opposite the Neoplan police station, opposite, we can tell that it's quite empty. This particular part is very close to the SCC and VIP bus station. Some months ago, last year, the beginning of this year, we had a number of traders filling up this particular area that you're currently seeing on your screens. But after the declutter, after the decongestion exercise, it seems that a number of them have not returned. But we still have quite a few of them who have still returned to the same spots that they were asked to move away from. And so, yes, this is updates. These are some updates in relation to the decongestion exercise. We saw places like Kimbu, Tudu, Makola. We saw massive declutter happening over there, and a number of people were super excited about it. But in less than 24 hours, we saw a number of the traders coming back in their numbers, which was very interesting. And we're wondering what really would the AMA do about that. And if you would also remember, the task force, it was a joint task force, which was between the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the Electoral Municipal Assembly. So we saw a number of task force members on the streets that were just moving things, carrying things. But here's the catch. They were given a number of weeks to get themselves ready. So there was a public announcement to alert them that this is what would happen, and so there's the need for them to move before the declutter. But it seems that, as usual, they didn't want to give ear to the directive, and so there was a need for the forceful decluttering. But ladies and gentlemen, they are back on the streets. They are back on the roads. They are back on the streets. They are back on the roads. And so this is the current state of Circle, the Neoplan area, the Neoplan station area, the OA terminal area, the VIP and the SCC terminal areas as well. The traders are back on the streets.
Well, so there you have it. Esiedua, thank you for bringing us some sounds and sights from the grounds there. And let me get to my guest now on this. James, you make your point right after this on the SAL issue. Are you impressed with what we are seeing? I mean, we were all very excited when Mr. Alote was out there on the grounds, sacking people off the pavement. We saw someone comfortably sleeping under a bridge, mattresses blocking the road. How do you feel about it?
How do you expect me to be happy about this? What a question. I mean,
we want to know.
It's sad and unfortunate for our national capital, you know, and this is not new. In my studies on disabilities, I read as far back as 1956, a study was, revealed that there were a lot of, persons with, people who were hawking and begging on the streets, and they wanted to find out why and how to get, them out. And they found out a couple of them, or some number, were persons with disability. That is how come, they created a center at 37 to offer them training and created some regional activity centers subsequent to that. It was to rid our city of loitering and hawking. And how many years down the line, we have this kind of situation, somebody sleeping there with a mattress, if not, what do you call it? Bedspread, and it's an eyesore. And let somebody go in there and say they are correcting. I remember the mayor, Oko Vanderpoy. But you say, my church fellow. And he was given all sorts of names from within his own party. Another instance, somebody from the other party, same, calls. But we cannot live our lives this way. We need to be organized. Organized means that there must be places where people can sleep. There must be people where people must work. You cannot go and sleep at where people are working. What we saw is just an eyesore. And I believe that we ourselves must rise to the point where we will say that no to some of these things. If the mayor, the chief executive mayor, it's chief executive, the municipal, metropolitan chief executive of Accra gets out there, or any of the municipal chief executives get out there with their task force to go and clear these places of the people who are lying there. What will we say of them? And that's why I'm always concerned about the verdict of the people. Yeah. Do we subscribe to that? Or we will pour scorn on those who try to do the right things? That for me is a concern, where people who want to abide by the law, who want to operate by the law, are seen as the bad people. Those who are in defiance, who oppose, betray, disrespect the law, are rather seen as, champions or victors. Victors. How can we do this? We cannot somersault and turn things upside down and expect that our lives will be progressive. Progress is not made with retrogression.
Okay, when you saw it, you even brought in another space that looks similar to this, the dummy area.
Yeah, dummy Kwabi.
I mean, how do we permanently fix this? Can we ever do it?
Well, we have to fix it because it's the same culture of indiscipline. Today, it's been a running theme in our discussions. The same culture of indiscipline, impunity, that keeps running, and we just look on it and carry on with our business, and it just keeps, it's as a revolving cycle, and it seems never ending. But we have to be able to put an end to it. Because if not, how do we develop as a nation? How do we progress? You know, people are sleeping in the middle of the street and hawking things, sharing the street with the cars. The cars are struggling to get through. It causes a lot of congestion and all sorts of other things. And it's dangerous. It's actually very, very dangerous to pedestrians, you know. So it has to stop.
Right.
It has to stop. And the current mayor, as other mayors have done in the past, is demonstrating the will to stop this. He needs to keep going back until they realize that it's just not worth it. It's too much stress every single time. Because if you do it once, yes, you do it once and everyone, you know, then they come back again 2 days later and then nothing happens for 6 months, they're comfortable. But if it's consistent, so there probably needs to be a permanent task force, a permanent one. Because if you can't do it on day 1, you can't do it on day 8, you can't do it on day 3, you can't do it on day 57, then you have to start thinking outside the box and doing some, you know, seeing how you can sort yourself out and maybe sell the things somewhere else. And we probably also need to develop our markets as well, to give them somewhere, because these are people who are trying to earn a living.
Everything you've said really was the answer that we got when we asked about the sustainability of that decongestion exercise. They mentioned they were going to station people there to ensure that these traders, hawkers don't come back. They were going to develop, they were going to develop our markets. They were going to give them 1 day in a week where they can come onto the streets, and all of that, all of a sudden just vanishes, you know. So if we are making a ceremony out of it, it's because we keep coming back to the same thing. Like you said, it's like a never-ending cycle. Every day we come back to this thing. At some point, we as Ghanaians get tired, you know, and then we just look on and say, well, let's all just twiddle our thumbs and see how well we fared. Brace, you want to come in before we wrap up?
No. I just want to say, I think the solution, or one thing that we should all munch on is what Dr. Bonfe said. That do we celebrate those who are doing the right things, or rather antagonize them? If we don't celebrate those who are doing the right things, we'll always come back to this. Because they know that the people would always go against those who want to make sure that we do the right things. That has to change. This is our Ghana. Let's all be citizens and not spectators. And that brings us to the end of the news review. Those who joined us this morning for the conversation: James Kwabena Bonfe Jr., PhD. He's CEO of Census and a lecturer at UPS. And we also have Vicky Bright. She's a legal practitioner and an entrepreneur, and she also joined us to review the newspapers this morning. So you can say, when we return from the break, we get into our big stories, and we'll be taking a look at a medical doctor who has lost his life because he had a heart attack. And that's the reason why some people in the medical fraternity are calling for simple things like basic healthcare facilities and so many other things. All that coming up after the break. We'll be right back.